What's happening, everyone? Today I'm here with Max, who went from working FIFO in the mines, living the fly in, fly out lifestyle, to now working completely remote online, running his own online business, pulling in multi six figures a year. So, Max, introduce yourself, man.
Pretty much just did, bro. Obviously I'm Max, and I used to work in a full-time FIFO job. Did that for 5 years. Pretty much went straight out of school into the FIFO life just because my family and everybody around me, that's what they were doing. So I naturally stepped into it as well. Took me a solid 5 years to realize that it wasn't my thing. I actually enjoyed it at the start, like it was my thing at the start. Enjoyed the money, enjoyed the lifestyle and everything that kind of came with it, and I actually didn't hate the work itself. But to a stage where I did hate the work and I did hate the lifestyle and everything that came with it. So a big change needed to be made. I searched high and low for that change and kind of came to the realization that waiting for the right time or searching for the right thing isn't getting anybody anywhere. It's actually starting
Mm.
something and following through with something that is going to move the needle and get you somewhere. So that's what I did. And, a couple of years later, here we are.
Oh, I mean, good on you, man. Imagine if you didn't actually make that change and, where you could be now if you just kept plodding along, working a job that you hated. I mean, it's crazy to think where you could be if you didn't do that, hey? So,
Still be there.
yeah, I mean, tell the people, bro, what initially flicked the switch for you before you actually got started and jumped into the space? What initially, yeah, flicked that switch in your brain to go from not doing it to doing it?
To be completely honest with you, I could sit here and say, oh, I was just sick of the job, I was just sick of that, but it was honestly a breakup, to be honest with you.
Mm,
And changes needed to be made in my lifestyle and in myself and in the way that I was kind of operating, and that kind of flicked the switch in my head. And I needed to be better as a human being. I needed to be more competent if I wanted to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve in my life, which became more clear when that sort of big change in my lifestyle happened. You know what I mean? Sometimes
mm.
you need that big catastrophic issue in your life to flick a switch in your brain, and big change and even heartbreak or whatever it is the catalyst for change. So, something bad happened in my life and it actually turned out to be a good thing in the long run.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting, bro. Obviously, the biggest change comes from an uncomfortable situation or even from pain as such, like you've just mentioned. So, I mean, for right now, what I want you to do is give us a rundown of in time frames, and you don't have to be too specific, but just give us a brief summary of your journey from how you went from obviously working in the FIFO, having a rough breakup that you had to deal with, and then fill us in on the steps after that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's everyone's journey is kind of different. Mine specifically, you asked not to get specific, but mine, I kind of was obviously working FIFO. I was actually wasn't FIFO when I quit. I was working locally, doing the same thing. I was still on shift. I was doing like 4 and 4, 4 days on, 4 days off shift, but it was drive in, drive out at that point. So it
Mm,
was I just got to sleep in my bed at night, and then obviously shit at the fan with the relationship and all that. And then I started looking for other ways to make money. You obviously come across your drop shipping, you come across your crypto trading, all that sort of stuff. At that point in time, I really wasn't switched on to anything. I had absolutely no idea about what was out there, what I could do, what was going to be my thing.
mhm,
To be completely honest with you, I actually scrolled across an ad, like most of us do on the internet, scrolled across an ad of a guy selling a big drop shipping course, and I bought it. I invested into
mhm.
it, invested thousands of dollars into it, and it got me absolutely nowhere. And it was a big kick in the balls, from being honest, and I had absolutely no idea what to do from there. So I started the whole drop shipping thing, got nowhere with it, had no idea what I was doing. Then ended up putting it down for a month or two with the dreams and ambitions shattered into a million pieces of making money online. But eventually, you get to a stage where, okay, well, just like a relationship, if it doesn't, work out the first time, that's not going to bring you off the team or, stop looking for
Mm.
relationships for the rest of your life, is it? So I kept looking
Exactly.
once I realized that. And then I eventually found sales, high ticket sales specifically, affiliate marketing, high ticket sales, all that sort of stuff, and realized that I could do that without having to post content, without having to, blast my face all over the internet, even though that's what I do now anyway. But at that point in time, it was purely remote sales. And I kind of realized also that, you know, learning the skills was going to be the most important thing, not being in the best business model, not being in the most
Mm.
ideal. situation. It was more about learning high income skills. And at that point, sales was the biggest thing for me. And I knew that it
Mm.
was forever going to be a thing. So I learned that. I actually landed a high ticket sales role as well within the first few months of that. And then made my first, couple of $100 online and I quit the job.
Fuck,
So
really?
yeah, I didn't like wait until I'd made enough and then quit. I saw some profit and then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna quit the job. I sold all my stuff. I moved to Bali and started to really take things seriously. And I moved across the world. I moved over to Bali for a few months and
Mm.
went, put my head down on hard to get sales. Did pretty well with it. And then yeah, it went pretty quiet after that. And then I kind of kicked into gear, I guess, because I got comfortable. I saw some profit and I got comfortable. I was living in
Mm.
Bali. Things were just great. And then I got super comfortable and then the income started to come down. So that scared the shit out of me. And then I really started to go ham with it again. And then
Mm.
did really well, made even more money, made enough to be able to, support me and some. I traveled, even more, lived in the Gold Coast for a little bit. And yeah, I met my business partner, started my business, and then a year later, here we are. So that's been pretty much it. It's made a lot of money over the last couple of years. It's been a bit of a roller coaster in terms of like emotions and what to do, where to go from there, as starting any business is. So
Yeah.
I learned a lot of life lessons in the journey, that's for sure, and there's a lot to come.
Mm. No, I mean, fuck, good on you, man. I think it's crazy. The thing that stood out most to me, I think, was the fact that you didn't wait until you say replace your income or, you know, wait for that secure income to be coming in consistently. You just had proof of concept and pure belief that you can do it. And that's all it took for you to quit your job and then move across the world and go all in on this shit. And I love that. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. People wait for that security, and unfortunately, waiting around for security or waiting around for the best time to do something really doesn't get anybody anywhere. The fact that I kind of took a massive risk in doing that held me super accountable and kind of left no room for error, which means you obviously are forced to perform and you are forced to make it work, and that's what happened.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I mean, it's like you're giving yourself no safety net, no plan B, um, and just going all in on this shit. And that's what it takes. I mean, if you're not going all in, then what the fuck's the point? There's that quote people say, oh, what were you saying, sir?
The quote, burn the boats.
Not just that, but if you're expecting to treat it as a side hustle, if you're treating what you're doing as a side hustle, you're going to get side hustle results. Whereas if you put you're all into this shit, then you're going to get all in results, essentially. Yeah, I mean, one thing that everyone is always curious about is specific time frames. How long will it take to start seeing results, whether that be monetary results or whichever, right? So fill the viewers in on how long it took you specifically to start bringing in some money from your online business.
So, in terms of how long it took me to see profit, like I said before, I
Yeah,
made
yeah, yeah,
a couple
profit.
$100. Yeah, I made my first couple of $100 maybe 2 months in. I want to say about 2 months in to starting high ticket sales, and yeah, from there is when I went all in. And then it kind of fluctuated after that, a little bit. I made, a few $1,000s here and there and reached that 10K mark and all that sort of stuff. Um, at that point as well, and this is where I feel like some people go very wrong with it. If you don't have the sort of support network around you, is you get that first taste of money and then you're on top of the world. You feel like a millionaire. Wow, I just made my first 10K month or 5K month online. I've made it. That's it. I can't go anything. Like I've done it. This is the shit. It's not going anywhere now. I've done it, right? Which is completely wrong, and it often sends people in a massive spiral down, which almost happened to me if I didn't have my business partner like around me. Um, from that point, you don't let up. You actually work harder because the first 10K month is the hardest month you ever do. It's the hardest to get to the first 10K month. The rest, you kind of understand from there what needs to be done and how to execute it. But yeah, in terms of like timeline with profit, it's very different for everybody, and
Mm,
it's very, circumstantial on people's situations. Are they going to continue working whilst doing it, which will obviously mean that they have less time to put in. But for myself,
mm,
it took me a couple of months to see my first bit of profit. Probably took me about 4 or 5 months to see my first 10K month. And then, 20K month after that came shortly after. 30, 40K months, came a few months after that, and it's kind of fluctuated from there.
Awesome, bro. I mean, let's say, as a complete beginner, say for you, it took about 2 months, right? In the right business model with the right guidance, right? About 2 months, give or take, right? Ballpark.
Yeah, yeah, roughly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, bro. That's pretty quick. I mean, there's not many industries like this where you can actually see results so quickly. I mean, compared to, let's say, going to uni or going to school, it's like some, you can spend 4 years in a uni degree and until you start making money, or even in an apprenticeship, for an example, 4 years of just straight hard labor and hard work before you start earning, a generous amount of money. So, I mean, good on you, bro. It's crazy that, yeah, you just completely ditched the country as soon as you started, as soon as you saw proof of concept, which is insane. No, good on
Yeah,
you.
well, like the whole idea behind leaving the country was also, existential crisis as well. I was going through a lot, so I kind of feel like I had to escape. And the fact that
Mm.
the fact that I had taken on this new feat to make money online was also something to keep me busy and my mind distracted as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't doubt that it wouldn't have, that it would have like held you under a lot of pressure that you had to perform, right? And you would have,
Yeah.
you're under so much pressure. You've just made a big change in your life, and now you're in another country. You just simply have to make it work, and you've put yourself in the best position possible for you to succeed. One thing that I want to go back to is how did it actually feel, say, the day that you woke up, realizing that you're no longer going to have to do the fly in, fly out, you're no longer going to miss out on friends and family's birthdays. That day that you knew you were quitting your Fifo gig for good, how did that actually feel?
Well, the first morning that I actually woke up without a job, I was extremely hungover. If I'm being honest. It was like a grand final day or grand final night, but I was extremely hungover, felt like shit. But it was kind of the weeks after that, right? Because it was at the end of a swing anyway, and I had like the next week off regardless. I just finished a swing and I had the next, week off anyway. So it wasn't until I was kind of meant to go back to work that it kind of kicked in. So shit, I don't have to go back to work. I'm not dreading that fly out day or the day that I have to drive into my next, week swing on night shift or whatever. It was those following weeks that it kind of started to kick in. I was like, holy shit, I'm actually free now. Um, Also with a bit of a mixture of because I didn't actually have a stable income coming in at that time, like I kind of took the big leap. It was kind of like, okay, I really have to make this shit work now, and there's no option for me to fail. So it was kind of like it was very nice, but at the same time, it was like, all right, it's time to kick into gear and it's time to make this happen.
Mm. No, that's insane. I feel that too. Because I had like a similar experience when it came to me leaving my job. I've had the proof of concept, but at the same time, it wasn't
Right.
a consistent influx of income coming in. So, I was in a similar situation there for sure. Um, but honestly, that's like the greatest achievement ever. I think one of the greatest achievements and best feelings that I've felt along this journey so far, being able to just drop your jobs for good and knowing that deep down in your mind, you're not going to let yourself go back to that.
Exactly.
Right. So obviously, it didn't all just click into gear straight away as soon as you left your job, right? And there would have been some speed bumps, I assume. So let's give me the rundown of how it felt from leaving your job after simply just getting proof of concept to then the point where you started actually reaping the rewards and seeing the monetary results and the profit actually coming in.
How it kind of felt or how it like looked for other people, like
Yeah, I mean, tell us both, both.
for me, I had full faith in myself, right? I'm kind of delusional in that sort of aspect. I mean, it's probably not fair to actually say delusional. I've got a lot of self-belief and I've got a lot of faith in whatever I kind of put my mind to and a lot of trust in myself that I can make something work, regardless of how crazy or, out of this world it may seem to a lot of people, right? So when I did
Mm.
quit the job, my boss looked me in the eye and said, "What the hell are you doing? You haven't got an income. You're moving across the country. Like, what do you mean you're moving to Bali?" And I said, "Well, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm going to do it." And obviously, he thought I was mad. A lot of people around me thought I was mad for doing it as well. Parents were pretty good. They are kind of old school, so it wasn't like a I don't know. It was a very interesting conversation. It was kind of like, well, you're crazy, but we respect your decision. We trust you. So they were quite good about it. But yeah,
Mm,
in terms of like all I really need with that sort of thing is my own mind because if I'm kind of I've got a lot of self-belief. I'm very confident in the fact that if I want something and I know how to go out and get it, I'm going to do it, and I don't leave anything up to chance. I work hard enough at that thing to leave nothing up to luck or possibility or chance.
mm. No, 100%, bro. I mean, let's go back to so how it actually felt when, you start reaping the rewards, because like I said, it
Yeah.
wasn't clicking straight away. So I know, it sounds like you had faith in yourself the entire journey and you 100% believed in yourself through the whole way, going all in, which is great. But tell the audience and the viewers who are watching this right now who could be in a similar boat how it actually felt from going from, proof of concept, little bits here and there of proof and, payments, but going from that to then, actually reaping the rewards consistently, bringing in a good income.
Yeah, so it felt great, obviously. Like it felt amazing. I'd say the best feeling was probably the 10K month. The first
Mm,
10K. It was actually probably like 12 and a half K roughly. That was kind of like a breakthrough month for me. It felt really
mm,
good. I spent a bunch of money after that because I was like, man, I've done this. I know how to do it now. I can just rinse and repeat. And it'll just get more and more and more. So I felt
yeah.
great. Went over to the Gold Coast, spent a bunch of money over there, bought jewelry, bought clothes, bought, all this sort of stuff. Stayed in a high-rise apartment out in the Gold Coast for like a month and just ate crazy food. And I like lived the rich kind of lifestyle for the month. And the very next month, I fell off.
Yeah.
From that point, I've been very realistic in the mind and say, okay, I've had a really good month this month, but I understand now that next month may not be the same, right?
Hmm.
So I'm a lot more
Hmm.
like, I'm a lot more, I,
Cautious, I guess.
yeah, I'm a lot more conscious of that. And when I have a really good month, I'm like, okay, really good, nice. I might go out for a nice dinner or, do something, but I've got to stay locked in.
Mm,
I can't just have that breakthrough month and then, okay, I've done it, I can kick back now. It's not like that at all. You've got to stay focused, you've got to stay locked in and put in just as much work, if not more, the next month or the next week or the next day to keep it at that point. It's one thing getting there, it's another thing to keep it at that point.
mm, mm.
And I
No,
learned
for
that,
sure.
I damn near learned that the hard way, unfortunately. But, it'll never happen again. So,
Mm. No, I feel you on that because it's definitely easy to get comfortable, or I wouldn't say complacent, but just comfortable, right? When you start, going from working a job that is obviously shit, and then you start working for yourself, you're working on your own terms, remote, from your desk at home, from another state, another country. It's pretty easy to, kick back and think that you have all the time in the world now, right? Because in the job, well, for me at least, when I was getting into high ticket sales, I was still working a job and I had such a little amount of time to put into this business and it was so hard to make it work. I was constantly under pressure and rushing, which I actually loved. It was good being under so much pressure all the time because it forced me to perform. Whereas going from that to having what feels like all the time in the world, but it's actually not, allows you to, slip up and procrastinate every now and then. And so yeah, it is easy to, especially when you're adjusting to, get comfortable, I guess, and slip
yeah.
up a little bit, let yourself go a little bit because you're like, fuck yeah, I've made it. When realistically, no, you still got a long way to go.
Yeah, that's a very good point. When you do eventually start doing this sort of stuff full time, the whole time thing becomes a commodity and it becomes a luxury, whereas
Mm,
you have to treat your time the same, right? Because a
mm,
lot of people will go from working that full-time job and they'll spend 2 or 3 hours after work just grinding. And then when they quit the job, they'll say, "Oh, I can just do the same now. I can just spend 2 or 3 hours grinding like I did before." It doesn't
mm,
really work like that. You have all the time in the world now. The whole point of you having all the time in the world now is to put it back into getting yourself further, not to keep it the same. Otherwise, you're going to stay the same. And it's very easy to lose track of the fact that time is still your most valuable asset.
mm,
Now
mhm.
that you're unemployed or you do this full time now, it doesn't change a thing.
No, 100% agreed. I know you have said that you've been pretty confident and faithful and, you know, have had a lot of pure belief in yourself throughout your journey. So one thing I want to ask you is, have you always been that way, or was there a point before you got started where, you did have doubts or limiting beliefs that would have held you back that some of the viewers might actually be going through right now?
Actually, a good question. I've kind of always had that self-belief, if I'm being honest. With some things, very much so. With other things, not so much. Like I'm not going to say that I've always been like a cocky or an arrogant person, but if there's something that I want, I've always been like arrogant and cocky enough to look at something and say, okay, I want that. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get that. So like even when I was in FIFO and working in mining, I was a supervisor at 21 years old. You know what I mean? And that's kind of rare. Like a lot of people even want that, but again, a lot of people don't achieve that, right? So that was a pretty cool thing because the day I stepped onto that and the day that I kind of learned that I wanted to do that, I worked for that, right? And I wanted to become
Mhm.
a supervisor as soon as I possibly could before 21 or at 21 or whatever. And I did exactly that thing. So I've always kind of done well in achieving the things that I've always wanted to achieve. And that just kind of leads to more and more confidence. Even the times where I haven't achieved everything that I want, I still kind of blame it on myself for not working hard enough, or there might be a circumstance that gets in the way. It's like, okay, there's been speed bumps. That's okay. I'm going to keep working towards that thing. Because whenever anyone's on a journey, there's always going to be speed bumps. There's always going to be bullshit that comes up in the midst of it, and in the process. It's
Mhm.
about not letting that bullshit, I guess, get in the way of, your mind. All right, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Because, your mind's your strongest thing. And if you just keep that vision crystal clear, and that's what I always talk about with you guys, as long as that vision is crystal clear, that goal is crystal clear, you know what it is, you know how you're going to get there. You just do everything in your power to move the needle closer to that thing every day, you're going to get there. It's just a matter of time.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not rocket science. You just got to have that vision crystal clear and do what you got to do to get there.
Mhm. No, 100%. It's probably the most important part. So having a strong reason why you're doing all of this, why you're actually working so hard, and what is all this for, because once that becomes unclear, it's hard to stay so motivated and driven because, I've experienced this when I was in Queensland. I'd left my job, was working remote online, but I forgot why, like, I was actually doing all this for, sort of just lost a bit of motivation, like what now? Like I've left my job working remote online. What now? And I sort of had to just sit down in a sauna one day with no phone, nothing to distract me or anything, and just sit there and think to myself for about half an hour, what is my why? Why am I actually doing all this? Why am I working so hard? What is all of this for? Where do I want to get to? And it's very important to figure that out.
100%.
Um, because it definitely just makes everything clear, one, but then also realigns your motivation and what the main objective is, what you're doing this for, and yeah, exactly that.
Yeah,
Um, Another
agree.
thing that I want to add to the limiting beliefs, right? So it's pretty easy to think and doubt yourself before you actually get started, but I think you just have to weigh up what is the worst case scenario. Let's say example, the viewer watching this wants to jump into high ticket sales or an online business model, right? But they're scared of failing or let's go with that. They're scared of failing, right? What actually happens if you fail? Let's say you give it a go for 6 months, 12 months, any online business model, right? Drop shipping, SMMA, fucking trading, high ticket sales. There's so many options out there right now. But let's say you give something a go for 6 to 12 months and you fail and it doesn't work out for you. What is your worst case scenario? You're probably going to end up doing exactly what you were doing before, except you'll know, oh, at least I gave it a try and I know it's not for me now.
That's right. The biggest thing holding people back from doing anything great is always fear. Fear of
Mhm.
failure, fear of not getting anywhere, fear of embarrassing themselves, whatever. It's always fear. 9 times out of 10, fear is the biggest thing stopping anybody from chasing their dream, doing whatever they want to do, right?
Mhm.
So where does that fear actually come from? A lot of people, it's money, it's embarrassing themselves, whatever it's going to be. But the next person in line or the next person that's going to throw shade at you for doing something out of the box isn't paying your bills, isn't going to be living the life that you want to live once you get there. So
Mhm.
like, yeah, I guess in terms of what happens if you don't,
Mhm.
you stay in the same position. What happens if you do and it doesn't work out? You stay in the same position. You haven't lost any.
And And not just that, bro, but let's say you do fail and you try it out for 6, 12 months or however long it is, and it doesn't work out for you. You're like, shit, okay, I tried this, gave it a good crack. It's not for me, but you're coming out the other side having educated yourself so much, and you'd come out the other side with a lot more knowledge to then apply that into the next thing that you try, or even back into your day-to-day lifestyle. It's a no-loss game. It is a no-loss game. You're coming into this with no experience, no knowledge, and you're coming out with the knowledge and experience and educated. Even if you don't end up going through with it, you're still coming out a better person, 100%. And knowing that, you at least you gave it a go and
Yeah,
you gave it a red hot crack.
no,
And
sure.
also to add back onto what you were just saying about like those other people who might be judging you. All right, yeah, let's say the viewer, right? You watching this right now, you're wanting to get started, but you're scared of what your family, your friends, or random people on the internet are going to think of you, what you're doing, right? Are these people paying for your bills? Are these people paying for your groceries? No. Why should you care about what they think of what you're doing to make money for yourself? And why should you let the opinion and the judgment of other people stop you or hold you back from being successful or being the best version of yourself? You
Yeah,
shouldn't.
much you shouldn't. That's right.
Because, like, just think about that for a second. How stupid does that sound? You're going to let the opinions of other people hold you back? Are you serious? Like, nah,
Yeah,
just
and
stop being a
with the
bitch.
hate stuff, we talk about this a lot, Darcy. Like with the hate stuff, you will never cop any sort of disapproval or hate or judgment from anyone who's doing better than you, right? We say this constantly. The hate never comes from above, it comes from below, always.
Hmm.
Not a single time ever where judgment, negative, comments, whatever it is, hate in general, there's not a case ever where it comes from above you or by someone who's doing better than you. Never. It always
Hmm.
comes from people who, whether it's jealousy, well, it doesn't really matter. It always comes from below, right? The shade, the hate, it never comes from above or from anyone doing better than you.
Yeah, obviously, jealousy, people being envious, you have something that they don't have or they want. Um, and that's one of the biggest things that, kept me going. Because obviously, when you put yourself out there and start doing something different to the norm, you're going to get a lot of hate. It's inevitable. No matter what you do, if you win, you fail, you're going to get hate if you put yourself out there and start doing something different to the rest of the pack. So obviously, you're going to cop a lot of it. And that's the thing. You always just have to think, you know, that it never comes from below. That's the one thing that, you know, helped me like not give a fuck about what other people have to think. Because if they have the time of day to be, commenting a hate comment on one of my reels or one of my posts, it's like, who the fuck are you, bro? How you have the time of the day to do that? And two, like, who do you think you are? Like, the hate is you'll never have someone doing better than you coming into your comment section talking shit because they've probably been where you are right now and they know how it is working your way up and they'll probably support you, whereas someone who's insecure, not this isn't coming from an egotistical perspective either, but if someone's not doing as good as you, what are the chances of them um like the chances of them talking shit are much higher, like no one that's doing better is going to be coming at you throwing shade. That's the main point.
Pretty much.
Max, let's go all the way back to before you got started. What were some of the challenges that you were facing, say, in your day-to-day life that actually made you want to look further into jumping into high ticket sales and the online industry?
What were some hurdles that I was going through on a day-to-day basis?
Hmm.
To be honest with you, I was making decent money. I was living a, pretty decent life. I'd bought a house. So I was living, out of home. I was, decent house as well. Like nothing was really, I'm gonna say, super duper hard. Apart from the fact that I hated going to work every day. Um, in terms of like the typical lifestyle that I was living. I had, girlfriend and whatever, so things were pretty good. I just since since a kid really, I always wanted big things. Since stepping into the mining world, I always wanted the next thing. I always wanted more. It's just constantly about getting more, which can be an unhealthy thing, but in my case, I've found it to be quite healthy because it's constantly got me working towards the next thing,
Mm,
right? Which allows for constant progression, right? So things weren't actually bad. I just wanted more.
mhm,
A lot of people have it really bad, and that's their reason for changing. My reason for changing is that I wanted more, and obviously shit hit the fan with the relationship and stuff, so that kind of kicked me into that gear. But in terms of like long term, I just want more, right? I know that I
mhm,
can, because I know I have the ability to work super hard at getting what I want, so why not do it, right? And if I know I can do more, I'm going to do it, right? I'm not really happy whenever I'm still. I don't
mm,
like to be still for too long. I'm not complacent, if that makes sense. Like when I get to a certain level, I enjoy myself there. I am grateful for the fact that I've gotten there. But very soon I've become aware that, all right, it's time to keep moving. I just hate being still, whether it's up, down, it doesn't matter. I just hate being still. So at that point, I was very still and it was time to do something different to change.
mhm. No, awesome, bro. I mean, it's crazy to think, where do you think you'd be if you didn't actually make that change and didn't realize that you were stagnant and still? Because a lot of people can't realize that. So, where do you think you'd be if you didn't realize?
I don't know. I would have found a way to change something in some way or another. Um, I think I would have done it anyway because it's kind of going back to what I was saying before. I don't think I would have stayed in that same position because I get real agitated and I don't like being in the same position for too long,
Mhm,
in terms of situation, I guess. So it would have only been a matter of time before I made some sort of change. And like when I mentioned the relationship, that was only a trigger for that. You know what I mean? So regardless of if that happened or not, I would have changed something in some way or another because I hate staying still.
mm, mm. But I mean, fuck, it's pretty scary to think, like, imagine where you would be if, even though you genuinely believe that you would have still done something about your situation, like, imagine if you didn't and where you would be right now if you didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll probably still be working, to be honest. I'd still be working there at that shithole of a mine site, whether it's fly in or whether it's local. Still be working there, and maybe I would have moved up a couple of ranks in terms of like supervisor, manager, whatever. But
Mm.
still wouldn't be stoked. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, going off the back of that, one question that I do have is what is it that, sparked so much interest in online business rather than continuing to work FIFO in the mines and maybe rank up and level up in your career? What is it that made you flick the switch and pivot into the online industry instead?
That's a good question. I think it's actually changed, right? So at the start, I wanted to make money online because of the freedom, right? The so-called freedom that everyone talks about. That's why I wanted to do it, right? Because I didn't want to have to come into work every day. I wanted to be able to work from home. I wanted to be able to not be tied down to a job and all that sort of stuff, right? But that
Mhm.
idea and that kind of concept of having to work an hour or 2 hours a day it eventually fades away. And if you really like, because don't get me wrong, you can get to a stage where you work 2 to 3 hours a day, make 10K, 10, 15K a month, and kind of cruise at that level, right? That can be done in multiple different business models and scenarios. Because I wanted to take things to the next level and do, 50K plus months, freedom as we all know it, and time like location freedom, yes, I can do what I want, but that like balance, work-life balance and that sort of freedom aspect of things that everyone talks about, work an hour a day, do what you want for the rest of the day, that whole concept was false. It wasn't true. It's fairy dust, whatever they call it in that movie. It doesn't exist. So like that whole thing is perceived in a very, very wrong way where people say, oh, work 2 hours a day and make 50K a month
Yeah.
for it. Like it's not real, mate. Like it doesn't work like that.
Mm.
Yes, you can make like 10K a month and do that, but I wanted more again. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing that kind of changed. I guess, in why I started versus why I keep doing it now. Like the mentality behind starting was very different between like the mentality that I have now.
I mean, tell the viewers what is your mentality now, even after adapting and realizing that what people say online isn't actually true about the industry.
Yeah.
Why are you still doing it now then?
The mentality now is fucking all in or all out. You know what I mean? There's no in between. I'm either all in or I'm out. And there's not much in between. There's no gray area. It's black or white. And there we either have work-life balance or we have average life, right? Or we don't, we either have work-life balance and kind of be stuck at that situation, or you're all in. There's no such thing as balance. You cut things that you don't need. Anything that's not, supporting what you want to achieve in your life goes. If that's friends, if that's social events, if that's drinking, partying, whatever it's going to be, for me, it was cutting a lot of things out. So I cut out alcohol, I cut out drugs, I cut out like all the things that I was kind of doing before that I was having fun with, but wasn't actually contributing to what I wanted to achieve. Everything that's not, supporting that goes.
Mhm.
You know, the time is very valuable. I dedicate and I, you know, distribute my time very carefully. And if it's not actually like contributing to what I want to achieve, then there's a good chance I've got no time for it.
Mhm.
That's the mentality now.
Mm. No, I 100% agree with that. Your time is very precious, so you do have to, you know, respect it and say no to things more often that are going to essentially hold you back and slow you down from
Yeah,
growing.
100%.
Now, obviously, there is a lot of shade thrown at the industry at the moment, and there's a lot of people who have lost a lot of trust in the industry right now. So I want you to tell us and tell the viewers, was there any sort of doubts or limiting beliefs that you had about the industry itself before you actually jumped in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think stepping into anything that you don't know much about is always going to be skeptical and you're going to feel uncomfortable doing.
Mhm.
Uh, I've always been quite open-minded. Like I've always been into those fucking conspiracies and all that sort of stuff, but like I've always been quite open-minded in terms of ways to do things. So I always believe that online money and making money from doing that or doing this is always been real. So the fact that it was like fake and all that wasn't really a thing for me. I know like a lot of people just genuinely don't believe that it's real and believe
Mhm.
it's all a big lie.
Yeah.
That wasn't really me. I always kind of believed that it was a thing. I just didn't know how. So for me, it was more of a case of getting the right person to actually teach me how,
Mm.
right? I didn't know how to do it myself. I wasn't a rocket scientist. I couldn't figure it out myself. So I was humble enough to be able to look at it and say, okay, I need help. So I went and got it. It was more the fact of like who. That was the biggest thing.
Okay. I mean, what would you say to people right now who have lost a lot of trust in the industry itself and who, you know, even people who have been burnt in the past? Obviously, there are some people doing it unethically and some people do actually have bad experiences. So, what would you say to people who are stuck in limiting beliefs at the moment because of, say, past experiences, or they just can't seem to trust anyone in the online industry because overall trust is just down at the moment?
Yeah, well, I guess look at why you don't trust them and look at why you can't trust them. It could just be because, like in our case, Darcy, someone will reach out to us wanting help, right? We don't just send them over to a video, watch this, and then buy it. It's not like that, right? We have a conversation with these people. We have a full conversation in DMs. Also, we do send a video to break down what it is that we do. It's free. And then we jump on a face-to-face phone call with these people, run them through it personally, get to know them, allow them to get to know us, exchange questions, things like that. And if it was me in their shoes, I'd kind of just say, don't buy anything until you've had a conversation with somebody. Like, you're not gonna, I mean,
Mm.
online shopping is one thing, but it also doesn't cost thousands of dollars. Like with the sort of things that we deal with, it costs thousands of dollars, right? Not just a $20 shirt or something that you can buy online without seeing it, right? But if there was $1,000 t-shirt, right, on an online shop that you've never tried on before, you've never seen the quality of, you wouldn't do it. You're gonna want to go into the shop and see for yourself, right?
Mhm.
It's the same thing. Jump on a call with these people, look into their platform or whatever it is that they're selling first to get to know them, know what it is that they're actually trying to achieve with you before you do anything, right? And like from that point, go from there. There's always going to be an element of risk, always. I'd
Mhm.
say more so the risk is on yourself. Are you risking the money or are you risking you not putting your time into something that's going to benefit you? Like, where's the risk coming from? And then kind of evaluate from there.
Mm. I guess the risk also comes down to what is the cost. Say the cost, is it the cost of investing into online education and a mentorship that could leave you with a 10 to 100x ROI, or the cost of staying where you are and doing nothing about your current situation, working a job that you hate, continuing to do that? It all just comes down to what outweighs which one, right? What weighs more, the cost of not taking a risk and staying where you are, or taking the risk and who knows where you could end up.
Pretty much, like it's only going to be a cost. Like a cost is something you don't see any return from. An investment is something you do. So the only
Mhm.
difference between it being a cost and it being an investment is your own input,
Mhm.
right? If you decide to sign up for a course or a program, whatever, pay a bunch of money and you don't do anything with it, it's obviously going to be a cost. There's no
Yeah.
ROI there. But if you buy it, if you go head first, you go jump yourself, like jump into the deep end, balls to the wall, you work hard, you apply yourself, you do everything that you need to do, you listen to your mentor, it's going to be an investment, right? People do this stuff every single day. It's no lies or it's no possibility that it's a real. It's fucking real. It's there for you. The only governing factor between it being a cost and an actual, investment that's going to show you return is your own ability to make it work.
Mhm.
It's all there. The only deciding thing that's going to, play into your success is yourself. And if you can look at it
Mhm.
and say, I am going to do this, stick to your word, I am going to do this, I'm going to do everything I need to do, then it is going to be an investment. If you can tell yourself that and stick to it, great. If you can't, don't do it. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, bro. That's definitely the mo most important part because, if you're not there to put in the work and do it for yourself, then who is? If you can't hold yourself accountable to get it done, then no one else is. No one's coming to save you. It's up to you at the end of the day, and
Yeah,
only
that's
you.
right. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You're the horse, you have to drink once your mentor or the person's led you to the water, you got to fucking drink it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Obviously, you've been a pretty clear success story within the industry and the online business world. So, what is, say, one key piece of advice or tip that you would give to a beginner, someone who wants to get started or is looking in to get started, but just doesn't know how or where to start? What is one tip that you could give? One.
Just start, right? Everyone's always looking at how and what.
Hmm.
Start something. Just start something. It's going to sound very unclear to a lot of people what I mean, but the opportunities are in plain sight. You see them every day, scrolling, right?
Hmm.
Whether you scam or not, swallow the pride and start something. Start something. Yes, do your research on whatever it is that you want to start. Make sure you don't do anything stupid, throw a bunch of money at a complete random who's shown you absolutely nothing. Don't do that. If there's something in front of you and you're contemplating and you've been on a call and all that sort of stuff, and you're contemplating, oh, I don't know if I should do this, it's scary, it's a lot of money, it's this, it's that, throw that shit in the bin because that mindset has got you to the exact position to where you're at right now, wanting a change.
Mm.
This isn't going to happen until the mindset and the decision-making process changes. So just start.
100%. I agree with you, bro. I think that is probably the most important part and actually the hardest step too, actually starting. Going from
Absolutely.
not doing it to doing it is definitely the hardest part. And then after that, it's just habits and momentum stacking.
Right.
Um,
And I say just start like it's nothing, but it is, you're right, it is 100% the hardest thing to do because you're still stuck in this person with this lifestyle. When you're trying to get to that person and that lifestyle, there's a completely different change in who this guy is and how they make decisions. And you've got to make the decision based on that guy before you've even seen him yet. And it's a hard thing to do, but it's literally gonna be the determining factor of if you even get to see that person, your
mhm.
future self.
Yeah, no, exactly. Couldn't agree more, bro. One pretty commonly misled topic is investing in yourself. Now, I want you to tell the people watching this right now, and obviously me, what it's actually done for you investing in yourself and what it actually means.
Investing in yourself just pretty much means paying money to make yourself look at it like levels, right?
Hmm.
like a video game. Life's just a great big video game, and look at it like levels, right? And the higher level that you are, the more you get to do, the more you have access to, whether it's money, whether it's private jets, whether it's Lamborghinis, it doesn't matter. The higher level that you are, the more you can do, right?
Mhm.
If you're at a low level and you've gotten to a stage where the only thing that you can do is pay to get a higher level, are you going to do it? Of course. Of course you are, right? You're going to pay money or you're going to, whatever game it is, I don't really know, but you're going to pay the money in the game to level up, right? Or you're going to do the work to level up. Now, to get your hands on the information to level up costs money. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, tell them what it's actually done for you, though. Say investing into yourself, being online education and high value and high valuable and high income skill sets. What has it actually done for you being investing into that? And not just a monetary investment, time, energy, as well as the
Yeah, well, like,
uh
long story
funds.
short, it allowed me to get to this stage, right?
Mhm.
Allowed me to get to this point. If I didn't do any of that, I wouldn't be here. It's pretty simple. Like investing into yourself is a no-brainer. It sounds very like simple to me, but if I didn't do any of that, I wouldn't be here. If you didn't do any of that, you wouldn't be where you are. Like no one is where they're at by accident. It
Mhm.
doesn't just happen. Like the knowledge doesn't just
Mhm.
magically appear in front of you. If anyone's looking to learn a skill or level up, invest into yourself and invest into you being able to level up and become better and more competent and more skillful so that you can make more money. Money
100%.
follows, money follows skills, right? Money doesn't just
Mhm.
appear in air. Money follows skills. Where there's skills, money appears, right? So in order to have that money appear, your skills need to be there. Buy the
Mhm.
skills.
Mhm.
Buy the skills and learn them, and the money appears. That's what investing into yourself is buying and learning skills.
100%. Now, with saying that, why would you tell someone that it would be a better option to invest into yourself and your education and knowledge rather than dropping, say, money into crypto or stocks or fucking meme coins?
Well, again, right? If you have no skills and you buy a bunch of meme coins, it's not even calculated risk at that point. It's fucking gambling. You've got absolutely no control over the market. There's no sort of skill behind it. If you have the skills to be able to trade profitably, great. That's a skill, and the money will follow that skill. But like buying 100K worth of Ethereum or whatever, yeah, it's going to go up over time. But you haven't learned anything, right? If you learn sales or if you learn actually how to trade crypto or stocks or futures or whatever it is profitably, that's a skill, and that's where money's going to be. Sales is the same thing. Where there's skills, money follows abundantly and quickly as well. So
Mm.
if you're going to throw, like I said, a bunch of money onto a crypto coin or a stock or whatever, yeah, it could go up, might go down, but you got no control over it. You have control over your skills and you have control over how good you are at those skills. And like I said before, money follows skills.
Mhm. I mean, yeah, my take is pretty similar. I agree with you. And my view is that, like, if you invest into yourself and your knowledge and education and you build yourself up as a knowledgeable asset, that's something that can never be taken away from you, right? What's up here is there forever. Whereas let's say you have 10K in savings, you dump like 8, 9K into a fucking, like, into stocks or some stupid ass meme coin, bro. And, you're just hoping it goes up, but it might go down. You don't know. But let's say either outcome, you're not really learning anything, are you? No matter what happens, if it does go up a little bit and you do make a little bit of cash, cool. But you haven't learned anything. It goes down and you lose all your money. Sick. Well, you've just fucked that up and you've learned nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had 10K, I could, and I had the option to be able to like put it into a house or put it into this, I'd invest in knowledge.
Mm,
So I'll invest in the knowledge to learn how to make more because if I ever do want to put money onto a stock or whatever, I can at that point because I can just make the money back and I do have control over it. I'd rather
mm.
invest in my own knowledge to be able to make money than to, something that could or might not make me money. I've got no control over it.
One last question for today is if you were to look at your past self, say before you started, and compare that version of Max to where you are now, what would you tell yourself actually, being where you are right now? What would you tell your past self before you actually got started?
Lock in, lock in, get to work, and trust the process. It all happens for a reason, whether it's a downfall, whether it's an up, doesn't matter. It all happens for a reason, and it's going to shape up who you turn into. I've still got a
Hmm.
lot to learn from where I am now, right? But I understand that it all happens for a reason, whether it's good or bad, and that the process is there as long as the vision's clear and you trust the process, it's going to happen. Work stupidly hard, work gut-wrenchingly hard, and there's no chance that it's ever going to fail.
100%. 100% agreed, bro. Max, it's been a pleasure working with you along the way so far, man. And I
Likewise as
appreciate your
well.
time today. I
My
hope
pleasure.
everyone watching this has found some value in this video. There's definitely been a lot of source that we have dropped on here. I will leave Max's Instagram as well as mine in the description, so you can reach out to us personally if you do have any questions or concerns related to anything that we've touched on this video specifically. If you want to learn more about in depth what we do, what me and Max actually do to generate an online income, to send either one of us the message case study so we know that you came from this video in particular, and we'll be in touch personally. Enjoy the rest of your night slash a day, and I'll see you in the next one.